Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. All right, guys, how y'all doing out there? It's your boy back on your screen. All right, PowerDirector University.com. All right, today got a little bit of love going on. Oh, here then you're going and you're back again. Hey, running stories. How you doing, man? All right, so today I'm gonna talk to you guys about my wish list for PowerDirector 17. Now, this is something that is near and dear to my heart because every year I hope and wish and pray for some type of new feature to come out. That sometimes it does come out and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm really hoping for some of these new features to come out on the next version of PowerDirector, or maybe even a future version of PowerDirector. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you guys about what my 10 wish list items are. They're not in any particular order. They're just 10 things that I'd like to be on the next version of PowerDirector or future versions of PowerDirector. So I want to just go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit about that and give you some info on what I would like to see in the program. And then I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to kind of tell me about what you'd like to see. Now, I will prioritize this by super chat. So if you're in a country that lets you do super chat, then super chat with me. I'll be able to look through the list of those who super chat, and then I will go take a look at their channel, show their channel on the screen, and at the same time, I will also go ahead and talk about whatever wish list item they'd like to see on a future iteration of PowerDirector. So before I do that, I'm going to check my comments just to make sure everything's going okay with the live stream. Let's see. Cool. Already got some recommendations on here, so that's pretty cool. All right, looks like everything is gravy. No super chats yet, but let's go ahead and get started. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this today is because there's a trend that's happening with PowerDirector, and that's new versions seem to come out around the same time every year. Now, I don't have any inside track on when new versions come out or anything like that, but I can use the internet, the power of the internet, to tell me what the history is of when PowerDirector usually comes out. And if you do a search online for PowerDirector version history, then you can see that if you look here, you go down to version 3 and it was November, then version 6 was March, and so on and so on. And it was kind of like, there was really no trend. But then came version 11. Version 11 came out in September of 2012. Version 12 came out in September of 2013. Version 14 came out in September. The first iteration of version 15 came out in September. The first iteration of version 16 came out in September. So if we look at historical data, that tells us that version 17 may be coming out in September. Now, I can't guarantee that. I don't know for sure, but look at the trend. Look at what the historical data says. It's probably going to come out in September. And if it doesn't, it is what it is. But because of the fact that it's going to be coming out in a few months, I decided that this would be a good time to kind of talk about what I would like to see in the next version of PowerDirector or in future versions. So let's go ahead and get it cracking. All right, so the first thing that I would like to see is audio scrubbing. Now, for those of you who don't know, audio scrubbing is when you take your playhead and you run it across your, I guess, video or audio clip that has a waveform in it or has audio in it. You can actually hear the audio as you run your playhead across the portion of the video clip. So they call it scrubbing your audio or audio scrubbing. So that helps you when you want to like find a specific part in an audio clip. So if it's just music and there is no picture to see with it, you can scrub that music and pretty much find a specific word or whatever you're looking for if you scrub it slow enough, right? So audio scrubbing is something that really helps you when you're editing your audio files, or even when you're editing video files if you're looking for a particular word. If there's like back and forth going on between two people and you want to find a particular word, you can scrub the audio and try to find it. So audio scrubbing is very useful. That is one of the 10 things that I would like to see in a future version of PowerDirector. So the next thing on my list is folders. So as you can see up here in the media library, you have several things here and you have the ability to filter through different types of media. So right now, this media library has a video and photos in it. So I can turn off the video and just show photos. This is just the images here. I can show just video. And then if there was audio, I can show just audio. So I can do filters like that, but it's not the same as folders. Folders allow you to organize your media assets better in the media library so that you know specifically what's in a folder. So let's say I had a video footage, but I want to have the month, date, and year of the footage that's in that folder. Or maybe the name of the camera, camera 1, camera 2, or camera A, camera B. If I want to name my different footage within the media library and organize it into different folders that I can access and be able to know exactly what's where, instead of having to filter things down, read all these little things. And if there's very similar clips, then it would be a little bit harder for me to be able to find those media clips within the library. So maybe something that some people think, well, I don't really need that. Well, it doesn't matter. It's what I like. This is my 10 items that I want to see. Okay, and media folders is one of them. So what I have next is the different timeline configuration. So right now, when you look at PowerDirector, it's a bottom-up timeline. So what that means is if you put something below something, that's what's visible when you play it. So if I scrub the timeline, right now this top clip is visible because there's nothing underneath it. But once I hit this section, then the thing underneath it is visible. So that's a bottom-up timeline. Most NLEs or most editors use a top-down structure. So whatever's at the top of the timeline is over anything else. So that would mean that I would always be able to see whatever is on top. And that makes more sense, at least from most countries it does. Makes more sense to have whatever is on top to show, because if you were to look at something in real life and I had something underneath something else, I can only see what's on top. I can't see the thing that's under it. So it makes sense to have your editing timeline top down instead of bottom up. So I would love to see PowerDirector switch that and flip the script, so to say, to make it so that anything on the top is visible and the things below it are not. So that's number 3. All right. So number 4 is freeform masking. So one of the things that we can do in PowerDirector is there's a mask designer. So the mask designer allows you to go ahead and choose specific shapes, and you can mask your videos using these shapes. You can even do a little bit of adjustments. If you go and you unlock the aspect ratio, you can kind of crop things and stuff like that. But it's not freeform. So if I wanted to do freeform masking, then I would actually be able to add plot points on here and say, hey, I want to mask out just this house. And I could go all the way around the house and just mask that house out. And then I can go ahead and either remove the house or do just color correction just to the house to change the color of it. Or I could blur just the house or cover just the house with something else so that it was like, you know, maybe just a different color sitting there and it looks like it's the shape of a house, but it's a color. So if I can freeform mask things instead of just masking to these specific shapes or cropping things, then I would have a lot more flexibility with the software and be able to do much more different types of effects, overlays that have a lot of different options with my videos. So freeform masking is something I'd love to see in future versions of PowerDirector. So that's numero cuatro. All right, so number 5 on the list is multi-channel editing. So if you have a recording device like a microphone, or if you have a I don't know, like a Zoom, or if you have a Tascam recorder, things like that, then some of those items allow you to record multiple channels of audio. And what that means is I might have one mic on me, like a lapel mic, and then I might have another mic on someone else who is speaking, maybe a lapel mic or a boom mic over them, and then maybe I have a mic over the audience to get the audience sound. And I know this is maybe an extreme type of situation that I'm describing for most people who use PowerDirector, but a lot of people who use PowerDirector do have tools that allow them to capture multi-channel audio. And one of the things that would be great is if PowerDirector allows you to bring in multi-channel audio so you can edit each channel separately. Today, if you bring any file into PowerDirector, it's just going to have that one channel of audio. So you can see here that this clip on the top has sound, has audio, because it has a waveform here. So if I were to click on this, and then if I were to go to the mixing room, you would see here that there's just this one, audio 1 just has this one channel here. That's it. So I can't edit anything separately on it. Even if I had multiple mics, it would just have all of that sound together in this one clip. There would be no ability to edit each channel, adjust each channel for the sound that I need on each channel. You can't do that with PowerDirector. So I would love to see the ability to edit multi-channel audio sources within PowerDirector in future versions. All right. So that's numero 5 or number 5. And number 6 on my list is I would love to have a more recent version of New Blue Titler Pro. Right now, if we go to the title room, and we go down here to New Blue, you can see that it's Titler Pro 1.5 is the version that's on PowerDirector. Now, that's a pretty good plugin. It allows you to do a lot with the titles, but if you think about it, New Blue now has Titler Pro 6. All right, so that's like 4.5 versions ago. There has been a lot of changes over the years for the ability and capabilities of titles, and it would be great to see a newer version in PowerDirector. Now, I'm not asking for PowerDirector to put New Blue Titler Pro 6. That's like a $300 program. But they could at least do like 3 or 4, maybe even 5, and see if they can get a license to add that to the software instead of the old version. Because right now, these titles and the capabilities within Titler Pro 1.5 is kind of stale. It's very stale. It's not fresh. It's not new. And it would be nice to have something more updated than Titler Pro 1.5. So do it for us, Cyberlink. Give us those crispy new titles that we need. All right, so that's number 6. And then number 7 is the ability to adjust LUTs. So if I click on this clip and I go to Fix Enhance, we'll see here that we have lookup table, which are LUTs. So if we were to add a LUT to this, and I'm going to go to Browse, and I will just find a LUT to put on here. So you add the LUT, and I don't like the look right now. It's a little bit darker than I would like. In most other NLEs or editing programs, you can go and you can adjust the percentage of the LUT. And when you're able to do that, you can change how the LUT impacts the image. So you can go from 0 to 100%. Right now, it always applies it at 100%, and you can't make any adjustments. It'd be nice if they had a slider here where we could just make an adjustment so that we could make the LUT more appropriate for the footage that we added to. So adjusting the LUTs is number 7. All right, so then number 8. Number 8 is a huge one for me, and that is render queue. So I would love if there was a render queue in PowerDirector. And so what I mean by that is this. Let's say I'm doing a project and I'm doing my clips and I have a few clips in a timeline. And let's say I've edited this clip. It was, let's say, a whole minute clip, but I edited it down to maybe 20 seconds. Well, let's say I want to have that 20-second clip saved forever. I don't want to just do a range, and I don't want to change my timeline. I just want to say, hey, this one clip, I want to just produce that one clip. And then I want to go back to editing. So let's say I could right-click this clip, or right-click this clip. That was hard to say. Right-click, clip. Okay? Right-click the clip. And what if there was an option here that says add to render queue? Right? You just click on that. It would send me to like the produce page. And then there would be like options that I could do for the presets, whatever I wanted to set just for that one clip. Let's say like right here, instead of the descriptions, it had a queue. Like everything that I add to this queue, I can click on it and change the resolution, frame rate, all that jazz, bit rate, everything, and just have that queue continue to add up here and have an export location, or even be able to choose an export location for each clip right here within the render queue, right? Let's say I go back to edit, I keep editing and I do whatever, and let's say there's another range that I want to go ahead and capture. Let's say I go ahead and right click some of those, like a composite of clips. Let's say I do control and do 2 clips on the same place in the timeline, and right click it and choose a duration and add it to render queue, right? And I just continue to be able to add clips or composites to the render queue as I go along. And then when I'm done at the end, if I want to go ahead and produce the whole thing, I could just go ahead and go to the produce tab, and the whole project will be available there like it is today for me to render that, and then add that to the queue, and then I could just render the whole queue of all the clips and everything that I want, and it will go in all the locations that I selected, all the frame rates and resolution that I selected will be done, and it probably would take a minute to do all that, but that would be awesome. Right now, the only option that you have is to really select ranges when you go to the produce tab, and you can go ahead and produce a range, but it's the whole timeline. It's not just a single clip, things like that. So I would love if PowerDirector were to add a render queue or some type of render queue functionality to the program to allow us to render clips or composites or pieces of projects instead of always having to do range or always having to do the whole project. And that's number 8. Number 9 is professional color grading tools. So today, I could go to Fix Enhance, and I have a bunch of different things here. I have the color adjustments that I could choose from. It has saturation, hue, contrast, brightness, exposure, a lot of good stuff in here. Of course, you got your color match. You got some color presets here that you can choose from. It's all good. There's a lot of goodness in there, especially this color adjustment section. But if you have things like color wheels that give you the option to grade or color correct your highlights, your mids, and your shadows separately, if you have scopes that allow you to see the range, the IRE values in a waveform, or the exposure using a histogram, or the colors using a vector scope, those types of things, those types of tools allow you to really dial in specifically and get great results when you have those types of color grading tools at your disposal. So if PowerDirector had those types of tools, it would really just make this a fantastic product to me, right? It's a great product already, but adding those type of professional color correction and color grading tools to the package would just blow everybody else out of the water completely. So listen to me, Cyberlink. Add those professional color correction and color grading tools to the program ASAP. All right. And the last one I got on here is resolution, or I'm sorry, aspect ratio and resolution, really, for social media sites like Instagram. So Instagram is really blowing up. It's really big. A lot of people are making videos for Instagram, and PowerDirector does have the 9:16 option and the 9:16 type resolutions, like 1080 by 1920 instead of 1920 by 1080. So it has the 9:16 aspect ratio, and that's all gravy for the phone. But a lot of people want to have that 1:1 square aspect ratio and that 1080 by 1080 resolution. Those things aren't available in PowerDirector today. So if a lot of people out there who are trying to make those Instagram videos and things like that need to be able to use those different square aspect ratio and resolutions for their videos, and they're not able to get the look that they want on Instagram when they put their videos on there, so adding that aspect ratio and adding those resolutions, those square resolutions to PowerDirector would really, really be awesome. Okay, so those are the 10 things on my wish list for future versions of PowerDirector. So let's see what the people want. All right, so go from top to bottom on here. It could be all kind of stuff on here that we can see. All right, so Calvin's Corner, he said that he wishes they could rename the files after you upload them, not before. So when you upload them, I think he might be talking about something else, because there isn't really any uploading in PowerDirector. But when you produce a file, you have to give it a name before you produce it. You don't have to. It'll just be called produce. And then you can name it later on if you're creating a file on your computer. And that is pretty much how that would work. You do have that option, but it's always best to kind of name it ahead of time so that you can organize your footage after you produce it. And I guess it's 05 Brony Fan 1999 said, add cropping in the chroma keyer. Well, yeah, that'd be kind of nice to have that in there. But let's take a look at something here. So we got the PIP designer here. And within the PIP designer, you actually let's see here. Yep. You're good. Just had to make sure. Always got to make sure. So, yep. So right now, I guess you would use like the mask designer to go ahead, in most cases, to crop out something when you're using a chroma keyer. So, yeah, that would be great if that was right there instead of having to use multiple tools to go ahead and mask out the area that you don't want to see, all that extra around the green screen or whatever. So that's a great suggestion. All right, let's see. Yep. Alan Aston agreed about the folders. He was like, yes, folders, please. I'm feeling you on that one. The folders are a great addition. He likes the top down also. So great for Alan Aston. Kevin Hall. Everything's down under in Australia. That's true, brother. Everything is down under. But if you lay this on top of my head, I can still only see the phone on my head. Okay? Same thing in Australia. All right. So right now, not really much coming through on here. It looks like I might have a little issue with my stream locked up or something. Seems like I have a little bit of lag or something. So it is what it is. Let's see. I guess I could talk to you about a few other things while I'm on here. If you guys don't know, there is a forum, a PowerDirector forum that's sponsored by Cyberlink, owned by Cyberlink. And if you haven't signed up for it, you should. It's a great spot to go and talk to other PowerDirector users out there. And one thing that a lot of the users talk about on here are also features that they like to see in the program. So if you go to the PowerDirector forum, you might just see threads or conversations about stuff that people want to see. Oh, that's awesome. Maybe that's why my stream is all jacked up, because I can't get online. Oh, looks like it's better now. All right, so hopefully you guys can now hear me and see me. So as I was saying, one of the things that is really beneficial is the PowerDirector forum. So you can go there and you can actually see suggestions that other people are making for improvements to, or additions and improvements to PowerDirector. Right now, there was a post out there for what you wanted to see in PowerDirector 17. I think it's closed down now, but you can still always just go on here and make your recommendations. This is monitored by people who work at Cyberlink. So sometimes you'll see that one of the moderators or one of the employees from Cyberlink will be on here responding to some of the questions and things. So it's a great spot to go to if you want to reach people that work with the company without having to speak to technical support, which could be a pain in the membrane altogether. All right. So I really recommend going there. Another place that I recommend is PowerDirector Users on Facebook. It's just a group of people who use PowerDirector, and it's a great place to just go learn from other people, talk about what you'd like to see, share ideas, things like that, get help with issues that you're having with the software. It's a great community of very active people who love the program. So right now it seems like I'm having some issues with my live stream, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it short this time because I can't see any people coming through. Seems like my stream health is going downhill. Something may be going on with my internet connection, I don't know, but I'm gonna cut things short this time around because of that issue. So I apologize to anybody out there for cutting it short. If you're out there watching or anything like that, I appreciate you tuning in to check it out. And all of my subscribers and all of my viewers and everybody who supports the channel, I really, really appreciate you guys. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this live stream, and I will see you next time. Peace.